2553, just by filing that one form, you save $7,650 in taxes. Hello, my name is Edward Collins, and for those of you who don't know me, I'm the founder of UpLevel Entrepreneur. In fact, I'm the founder and owner of a number of different businesses. And over the past 20 plus years, I've been helping other business owners just like me to grow their businesses up to and through 6 and 7 figures. And doing that, not by default, but by design. So I created UpLevel Entrepreneur to really be that ecosystem that shares the content that I wish I had access to when I was just getting started. And then today, what I want to do is I want to share with you basically this concept of one piece of paper being able to save you thousands of dollars a year in taxes. Interested in learning more? Let's dive right in. The piece of paper I'm talking about is Form 2553. That's the document that you would file with the IRS if you are currently an LLC that's being taxed as a sole proprietorship, which, quite frankly, sole proprietorships are the vast majority of businesses that exist out there. But some businesses have actually elected to put a formal structure around the business in the form of an LLC. However, that's just one portion of the concept of business, which is the legal structure. The second portion is the concept of tax. How are you electing to be taxed? And by default, if you do nothing else and you're a single member LLC, by default, you are electing to be taxed as a sole proprietor. You actually have to actively do something to elect something different. And what I'm suggesting you give strong consideration to is filing this Form 2553. Why? Well, 2553 gives you the ability to no longer be taxed as a sole proprietor, but instead be taxed as an S corporation. It's really this interesting aspect of the way the tax code reads. So currently, if you are an LLC, just by formation alone, limited liability company, that's a legal structure which essentially creates this little bit of a force field around your business, and it helps protect you who lives and exists outside of the business, your home, your car. Again, as you can see, guys, I'm not an artist, but you get the drift. Pretty much everything that exists outside of your business, if you do not have a formal structure in place, like a limited liability company around that business, if something bad happens within your business, having that limited liability structure, that force field, keeps the liability inside of the enterprise. So a potential litigant or creditor can't come outside and start to take your personal stuff. So limited liability company from a structure standpoint, in my opinion, is an absolute must. However, once you hit a certain level of income generated out of that limited liability company, it's also an absolute must to elect Form 2553. I want to talk about why that is, though. See, let's use an example. Let's say you as a business owner are netting $100,000 per year. Now, that's $100,000 netted without taking into account something called self-employment tax. You see, if you are a W-2 employee, you pay some Social Security and Medicare tax out of your payroll, but your boss, the business owner, also pays an equal amount of Social Security and Medicare tax. That total cost is 15.3%. As a business owner yourself, if you are an LLC being taxed as a sole proprietorship, that entire $100,000 is going to be subject to 15.3% self-employment tax. That works out to, the math is pretty simple here, $15,300 a year. Now, if you do nothing, again, if you're a single member LLC and you do nothing, you've essentially by default elected to be paying this tax. Now, the beautiful thing about the tax code is when you read it, you learn that there are a lot of incentives for business owners as long as they're doing things the right way. So what is the beauty of an S Corp? Well, as an S corporation, the IRS requires you as the business owner to compensate yourself typically and most accurately described as an employee of your business. So what they call this payment to yourself, they call it a reasonable salary. Now, there's a lot of nuance to that word reasonable, But essentially what it comes down to is that they look at what would it cost you as the owner of the business to pay someone else to do the work that you are doing for your business. What could be a justifiable salary for that work? Now, you should be sitting down and talking with your tax advisor to determine what that number is, but for the purpose of this example, let's take a very basic approach to it. Let's say your reasonable salary is approximately 50% of the amount of money that you are netting before self-employment tax. So again, in this case, you have $100,000 as your net before calculating your Social Security and self-employment tax, but you pay yourself $50,000 as a salary. Okay, so that's what I want you to think of with regard to the cost. So your business is getting a deduction, so your business is now netting $50,000. You are taking that $50,000 and you are going to have to pay both the employee and the employer portion of self-employment tax, which is that 15.3%. And in this case, that works out to $7,650. Now, on the business side, since this is the net that you are under this S-Corp environment, the structure and the tax election status that you have, that $50,000 that you now take out is coming out of your business in the form of something called a dividend. And since it's a dividend and not compensation to yourself, it's not subject to self-employment tax. So in this case, if you simply file this form, again, I'm going to write it down because this is really important, Form 2553, just by filing that one form, you save $7,650 in taxes. I wish you well on your journey. Bye for now.